Welcome to ELF in Space. This week we're going to be talking about recycling and how we recycle and reuse everything in space. During our time on board the ISS, we have to be super careful about recycling. So let's see how we make the best use of everything and what we do to recycle in space.
Recycling is a word we hear a lot. Recycle plastic, recycle water, recycle paper. Do you recycle at home and school? What is it that you recycle? Recycling helps us to reduce waste because waste is a huge problem. It can harm the environment and biodiversity. It can cause pollution, and we have too much of it. The United Arab Emirates is making significant strides in waste management, recycling, and desalination, which reflects its commitment to environmental protection and sustainable practices. BIA, an environmental management company, handles over 3 million metric tons of waste annually. Their recycling efforts have led to a diversion rate of more than 76% in Sharjah, one of the highest in the world, with the target of reaching zero waste to landfill by 2025. Enviroserve's Dubai-based facility, known as the Recycling Hub, has also made considerable strides in electronic waste recycling. Tadweer, or the Center of Waste Management Abu Dhabi, manages comprehensive waste treatment services. In 2019, they reported handling over 1.05 million tons of general waste and approximately 50,000 tons of hazardous waste. Now, up in space, the same thing still applies. And it is a unique problem because how do we deal with trash in space? When Sultan and the other astronauts are in the ISS, they only have limited areas to put waste and only a limited number of things that they can take with them. So it is super important to recycle, reuse, and make the most of what they have. Let's ask Sultan how he recycles and what happens to waste in space.
On board the station, we try to minimize trash, so we use everything to the max. For example, our utensils, we don't have plastic or wooden utensils. So we have one set of utensils that we use throughout the mission. And for example, in my mission, I'll be using my own set of utensils for 6 months. Also, the water that we drink is going to be recycled every time. So we sustain the capability of recycling up to 80% of water. The oxygen that we breathe, we purify that from CO2 and we rebreathe the same atmosphere or air that we breathe every day. Recycling is very important to be done on orbit the station because we are limited in resources. For example, the water that we drink is recycled up to 80% of the consumed water because it's really heavy to carry on vehicles and really expensive to launch on rockets. So we do have the facility to recycle up to 80% of the water on board the station. To sustain life on board the station, we need the access to oxygen, we need the access to water, and we need a mean to scrub CO2. So all of these called regenerative. So we can regenerate oxygen on board the station by utilizing water, and we can purify the water that is gathered from the condensation and what we consume. So this is a fun fact, but we do recycle all the water that comes out from the toilet. And in terms of the atmosphere, we do have the means to scrub the atmosphere from the CO2 to make the air breathable on board the station. So when nature calls, we have to reply. And we have two possibilities, number one or number two, solid waste or liquid waste. For the solid waste, we have no options to recycle that on board the station right now. So we gather this as a trash, and this will be loaded into one of the returning vehicles to be burnt in the atmosphere. And the second part is the liquid waste. That is something that we can deal with actually. And believe it or not, it goes through a lot of recycling steps to make it purified and microbial free, so we can be utilizing this in the future. So on board the station, we try to utilize everything to the max. So we don't want to trash anything, because this can, first of all, be consuming, in terms of the resources. Plus, this might endanger the life of the ISS and other satellites. And this is what we call a space debris. So we want to utilize as much as we can from the resources on board the station. So we gather all the trash on board the station, and this is normally put into a returning vehicle. We have the Russian Progress vehicle, and we have other cargo vehicles, for example, Cygnus. All of these are packed with the trash, and then they re-enter the orbit and burn. So that is the way how we get rid of the trash on board the station.
So as I mentioned, the station was here for more than 20 years. Everything we get here on board the International Space Station is mostly recycled. So for example, the station is powered by the solar arrays from the sun. We get no power from the ground. So everything we get in terms of electricity and power is coming from the solar arrays. And in terms of oxygen generation, we generate our own oxygen from water, and we even recycle condensation and humidity from air to produce water. So everything is self-sustained here, and this is really an advancement in terms of technology that we can definitely apply on Earth for areas where they have lack of water or lack of energy. So what we do here on board the International Space Station is really important for the humanity.
Now it's your turn. Follow us on elfinspace.ae and find out this week's activity. Don't forget to share everything space with us.